Hey everyone, welcome to StarFlagMedia, and today's video is an homage, an ode to the Xbox 360, my favorite Microsoft console. In my opinion, their best system that they've ever put out. And just as you all might have known by now, about a couple days ago, the Xbox 360 has officially closed its doors. Nothing is being sold on Xbox Live Arcade or Xbox Live towards the Xbox 360 library on that platform. So it kind of brings us to an end of an era, right? It's again Microsoft's best system bar none, and I kind of just want to go through some things that made the Xbox 360 a special system for me. It's probably my fourth or fifth, just thinking roughly about it, my fourth or fifth favorite console of all time, and rightfully so. When that generation hit for the Xbox 360, we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know what Nintendo was going to do after they came in a very tight race for third place with Microsoft. Microsoft came out of the gate and squeaked out a second place victory with their first original Xbox console. And we didn't know where Sony was going, and they made a huge mistake with the price point at the very beginning of the PlayStation 3. And Nintendo went on a completely different path with the Wii. And then we had the Xbox 360. Even though PlayStation 3 had, in retrospect and in all on paper, a much more powerful console, and had a Blu-ray drive, it just stumbled right out of the gate, which gave Microsoft a huge advantage at the very beginning of the system's life. It had a killer library, and I remember one of the first games that I really jumped into right away, and I wanted to really like, was Perfect Dark Zero. They had announced, the acquisition of Rare during the early days of the Xbox from Nintendo. A lot of those games that were in development for the GameCube and later on for the Wii were moved over to Xbox projects. So here was my favorite Nintendo 64 shooter, which was Perfect Dark, and it was coming out on the 360 as a sequel. So of course I had to get it, right? Well, it ended up being a disappointment for me. But I was never purchasing Xbox systems from even the original for first-party Microsoft games. At the very beginning of the original Xbox, I bought those for those Dreamcast games that I really wanted that got moved over to the Xbox. With that said, I'm going to touch upon some things that the Xbox 360 changed in gaming forever, for better and for worse. Let's talk about things like on a console, getting patches onto your games. No longer, if a game shipped broken, well, back then developers actually tried not to do that. They tried to ship us complete games. But the Xbox 360 was a really clean way of getting patches over to these games and fixing any bugs. And of course, DLC. Great, right? Because the advent of high-speed internet, everybody really had that in their home at that time, so it made it really easy for developers to go through and patch up things that they may have missed. That's fantastic. The bad news is that after that, we started getting more and more games shipped broken with day one patches, which is commonplace now. Also, getting incomplete games that are either the game is locked behind a paywall, so you have to pay for the DLC to unlock it, and many times it's even on the disc, which is really shady business practice. But nonetheless, it wouldn't have happened, for better and for worse, if it wasn't for the Xbox 360. Yeah, the PS3 can do it, but like I said, it was just the first 2.5 to 3 years of the PS3, they were way behind the ball, way behind. So I just want to talk about another thing that really, even though it started thriving on the original Xbox, Xbox Live really took off with the Xbox 360. I mean, we spent so many hours in different lobbies, talking so much smack to each other and to other people. And in Halo, you can hear your opponent coming and you can talk smack as you were shooting them. In Call of Duty, it was a real different time. It isn't like it is today now, where you get reported for every single little thing, or if you offend anybody. But I really wanted to talk about some games really fast that really meant a lot to me during that era. And this is by no means a comprehensive list of Xbox 360 games that that I owned, or even a full list. I will make a video later on my favorite Xbox 360 games of all time. But just quickly, I just want to talk about games that may have even gotten forgotten in the past, like Army of Two, which was a third-person shooter with a cover-based system, and you and your friend could really jump into this game. And in an era where everything was like Gears of War or Call of Duty, this is kind of a mix of both. And EA really has something special, Army of Two, and they kind of dropped the ball later on with the sequels and the 40th Day and the Devil's Cartel. Those were never as good. But I remember the first one being something really special, really nice. And it got okay reviews. It was something in like 70s, high 70s, something like that back in the day. So it was actually a really fun game. Of course, the Assassin's Creed series started off during that generation. And a lot of these games were made for the Xbox and then ported over to PlayStation, so they actually ran better on Xbox, even if the PS3 was a more powerful system. The PS3 didn't start getting its flowers again until later on, around its third year. That's when it really changed the whole dynamic of its interface and party system and all of that. But up to this point, really, I was playing all these games on the Xbox. Hell, I bit into the HD DVD versus Blu-ray war. I went and bought an HD DVD drive. I went and bought a bunch of HD DVDs, and I was all in. I remember just going gun-ho with my Xbox. Back then it didn't have an HDMI port when I bought it. I bought a launch system. I bought a hard drive separate because they didn't have a available one with a hard drive. I mean, I went all out. Another game that's really started off there was the Batman Arkham series. God, man, that game still looks beautiful to this day. It's mind-blowing what they did with those graphics back in 2009 when Batman Arkham Asylum came out. Fantastic. Burnout Paradise. God, another game I sunk so many hours into and bought a bunch of times. That game came out in 2008. Arguably, people's favorite Burnout out of all of them. I prefer Burnout 2, but man, if you had to pick, that's not a bad one to play. And of course, I mentioned it briefly, but Call of Duty. Modern Warfare. Can't speak highly enough of that game. It really did change first-person shooters. What GoldenEye did for first-person shooters on consoles, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, you cannot argue its influence in the industry. After that, we got bangers after bangers. World at War, my favorite Call of Duty of all time. And then it gave me my second favorite Call of Duty series of all time, which was the Black Ops series. Can't speak highly enough. So many hundreds of hours spent there. Myself, Sergeant America, and UWA Talents. We just went all in. It was just a fantastic time to be an Xbox 360 gamer. Skyrim came out on the Xbox 360, guys, in 2011. Pardon me. And it's still being re-released. What a fantastic game. The Fable series really kicked off with Fable 2. Yeah, the original was on the OG Xbox, but Fable 2 and 3 both were fantastic on the Xbox 360. And we're finally getting a Fable sequel coming out soon, hopefully. My first introduction to the Fallout series came on the Xbox 360 with Fallout 3, and I still play these games to this day, with New Vegas being one of my all-time favorites and Fallout 4 being right up there with it. It's just something that is so nostalgic about popping in those games and listening to those soundtracks. Love the Fallout series. One thing that Microsoft really got right was the Xbox Live Arcade. Xbox Live Arcade, man, we got endless classics in there. But I remember the first real one that, before the term viral was really a thing, but the first one that went viral was Geometry Wars. I remember talking to friends and everybody was like, oh, did you download Geometry Wars from XBLA? And it was like, really? Geometry Wars? Just a twin stick shooter. But fantastic, and they're still making these. There's a series of them now. Simple graphics at the time, but yeah, that really cemented the Xbox Live Arcade for indie game developers and smaller games that normally wouldn't have gotten any attention. And they were only a couple bucks, so why not? Let's talk about a game that we're still waiting to our sequel, but it did debut back on the Xbox 360 generation. We're talking about Grand Theft Auto 5. Holy crap, guys. GTA 4 was great, but 5 is still kicking. They just recently shut down the 360 servers. So, again, GTA 5, what a fantastic game. And that was on the Xbox 360. The music genre was huge during that time period. We had the Guitar Hero series and Rock Band and DJ Hero. I had Guitar Hero World Tour with the drums and the guitars and you name it. I had the whole kit and caboodle. I preferred their soundtrack over and the feel of their guitars over the Rock Band series at that time. So I stuck with the Guitar Hero series. And those games are pretty much dead now. They tried to revive them, but it didn't work. Nobody really had the room to keep buying $100 plastic guitars everywhere you went. But yeah, nonetheless, Guitar Hero, great game across all the platforms. I loved it. Of course, how can any Xbox list or nostalgia or homage be complete without Halo, right? Halo 3. Yeah, we got ODST and we got Halo Reach and Halo 4, all of those on the Xbox 360, but I have so many good memories of Halo 3, learning the new maps, playing it in beta mode, going all in. I remember Halo 3 came out and it grossed on its first day. It was like all over news, like $170 million on its first day. And in the first week, it was like $300 million, dollars worth of 15 million copies. It was some crazy number like that. And Bungie just hit it out of the park with Halo 3. Everything we loved about Halo 1 and 2, it was just bigger, better. Graphics were highly improved. They still look clean. They still look nice to this day. Yeah, we're so used to like being spoiled with textures and all that, but if you go pop those games in, they still, for the most part, look pretty good. ODST was up there with it, had a very different atmosphere. It was darker, it was gloomy. We got games also like BioShock. It's just too many to name. Yeah, so it's a sad day for gaming. It's a sad week for gaming when it comes down to it. But, seeing as Nintendo shut down the Wii servers and the Wii U servers recently, and then Sony went ahead and did the same thing with the PlayStation 3 servers and all that, it was only a matter of time before the Xbox 360 had its day in the sun. And, considering that this console came out way back in the day, it's amazing that they were still, selling games on the marketplace for it. We're talking about 2005, almost 20 years. It's crazy. That's crazy that it's that long ago. But yeah, so here's my hat. Tip my hat off to you, Microsoft. Your best gaming console, in my opinion, of all time. We know that your future is a digital future, and you're going to be selling us some kind of digital box in the future. I keep saying it, mark my words. But as far as a physical console with a built-in hard drive, an amazing catalog of games with a great online service, you were the king for about, I'm going to say 4 or 5 years straight. There was nobody doing it better in the world of video games than Microsoft at that time, and I'll die on that hill. Guys, let me know what you think. What was your favorite Xbox 360 memory? As always, my name is Anthony. Please hit that like, hit that subscribe button, share if you can. We are trying to make our way to the full 2,000 subscriber mark. We're here at StarFlagMedia Gaming, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.